Good morning. How is everyone today? Good. Hi, I'm Cori. I am the Executive Director of a Convention and Visitors Bureau in Northland, Indiana called Marshall County. Our county seat is Plymouth, and I also help represent, I'm here, we have 5 byways that run through my county. One of them is Lincoln Highway, Michigan Road, Yellowstone Trail, Route 6, and one other that I can't for some reason figure out today in my head. But I have been with Marshall County Tourism as the Executive Director for it'll be 5 years in January. So I am excited to be here today and share some hopefully helpful tips on marketing your byway or your destination on a shoestring.
Thanks. I'm Leah Yoder, and I write a travel blog at Yoder Toter Blog. Before becoming a stay-at-home mom and a blogger, I was 7 years as a travel agent for AAA, so that's a little bit of my background. I said in my bio, but I caught the travel bug because I was an exchange student to Australia in high school, and I believe with kids that you can pretty much do anything with kids that you can do with adults. So I kind of started travel blogging and got passionate about travel because before we had kids, everyone was like, get all this out of your system, because once you have kids, you're gonna just be home and not be able to do anything. And I just really want to contradict that mindset in our culture and show people that they can see America, their backyard, and the world with their families.
I'm Noelle Szydlyk. I'm with the State Tourism Office. My background is in sports and outdoor recreation. That's a lot of what I do at the State Tourism Office, is to help promote those specific areas. But I also was the director for the Indiana Bicentennial Torch Relay in 2016. And we covered the entire state in 45 days with 2,200 people going through all 92 counties, and so I've had a lot of experience seeing all of not only the Indiana byways, but also the state in general. And I think once I was on full-time in a new position with the State Tourism Office, our director said, this is a great thing for you to work on. So the Byway project has kind of become something that I work on as well. In our state office, tourism has a seat at the table to approve new byway applications that come in, so I'm learning a lot while I'm here with all of you this week. But between us and the Department of Transportation and our Department of Natural Resources, we're the ones that oversee our process and how that goes through in the state of Indiana. So hopefully, again, from a state office perspective, I can offer you some options as well.
Hello, I'm Jenkins. I spent the last 20 years in travel advertising. Today I'm representing American Road Magazine, a travel magazine that promotes the byways. That's the editorial and the advertising. It's all about byways and travel. And I'm hoping to, with this many years in advertising, I'm hoping to give you some ideas on how to stretch a shoestring budget in radio, television, and in the print and digital.
Do you want to go our same way?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Dixie Highway was the other one. Sorry, I had to let you know. I was just gonna go through a few items that have not only helped us in my DML, but I hope can also help you promoting your byway or your destinations along those byways. Leah and Noelle and Terry do have some other great additions to it, but I hope these can help real quickly. One is that I would encourage you, if you can, is to have a written or Excel sheet. It doesn't have to be fancy marketing plan, your goal, what you want to do for the year, the month, the quarter, whatever you're trying to do when it comes to social, any print or digital that you're looking at. Really try to sit down and see what you want to do, even if it's just increasing your followership on a social media platform, which I'm sure I'm getting the gist. We talked a lot about social media. Even if it's just increasing that by 100 followers in a year or 6 months or something like that. I would really encourage that, just so it has some formulated goals for you on some level. And I'm gonna, I guess, beat the horse. Social media is a need. If you're not already on those platforms, please be on them. It's an easy way to engage with your audience. If you know your audience, there's ways to find out, and I didn't mention this before, but a lot of times destination marketing organizations like myself, we have what we call a visitor profile of our area. Who are the people that are coming? Who are those destination people? Who are those people that you're trying to get? If you're not really, those can be costly, but if you're not really familiar with what that could be, you could reach out to a resource like myself, and we would be able to kind of provide you with those reportings that would be helpful so you can see who you want to engage with, or you may already know who you're engaging with. But please be on those. You can do paid posts, or you can just do engaging pictures, itineraries. I didn't share this
Can you
before.
explain that a little bit? Some people in the room might not understand paid posts.
If we haven't, so on a digital platform, on your social, you can put maybe $5 towards what they refer to boosting your post so more people are seeing it. So if that helps, you can put $100 at it if you want. Typically at our level, when we're doing social posts in mine, we really don't do more than 60, and it gets a huge reach of engagement, and most of that is even organic reach. Some of those paid posts aren't even getting as much as you're hoping for. But if that helps, that's a paid post, and you don't necessarily have to do that either. That's if you have those extra dollars to do it. Or have itineraries ready to go. This is just one that we put together on your planned visit. It's a 4-day trip. Utilizing those, you can just repost those, etc. If you have an e-newsletter list, if you even have generated permissions to send letters of quarterly, monthly, however you would like to do it, engage with those people. Make sure you know what you're telling them, what's going on in your Byway. I do know that our local museum still does newsletters print-wise. I know their clientele isn't really using a computer-based. So even if I know that's a little more time-consuming, potentially a little more costly, but it's just a way to get out to those viewers, those possible donors, sponsors, etc. But try to engage with them on some capacity. Next, in our office, we use a lot of blogging. We've utilized guest blogs, bloggers like Leah with Szydlyk share hers, and content writing. Try to refresh. If you have a website, which I hope you all do on a Byway of some capacity, that just refresh that content every year so people know what's happening and new, and then it's more searchable through Google and all those fun things. But we encourage that quite a bit. And if you have a blog for a destination visitor center like myself, we're always trying to find things to write about, recycle, reshare. We're only a 2-man team, so sometimes finding that can be difficult. So if you have something, please share it with us. Next is, and this is really where Terry was really good, and Noelle and Leah, but sometimes you need to be able to pay someone to help you. And you need to encourage that, and if you have a little bit of money, it always helps to be able to pay some paid media, whatever it may be, newspaper, TV, magazine, digital. And then you are the person that knows your organization. That's your owned media, that's your website, that's your destination platforms. And then there's those free media. So if you have that trifecta in a sense that you're doing all of those together, you're hitting that really good spot where you're trying to reach as many people as you possibly can. And hopefully that helps. Another thing that I would really stress is reach out to your destination marketing organizations like myself or Noelle at the State Tourism Office. Our organization offers grant funding. We give out about $40,000 a year in marketing grant funding for local events, local destination projects, project-based, Main Street organizations, byways, whatever it may be that you're trying to market. Those dollars for yourself is also helping market my county, my organization, our area to bring visitors here. So because my goal is to bring visitors, and ultimately that is your goal as well, to provide those things in those niches. And I want to encourage you, use your local DMLs. We try to be a wealth of knowledge. We know a lot. But if you're able to reach out to them, utilize them, we're able to help share your story and engage that in any way, potentially for free, because we're just trying to do that. Trying to promote our area as well. Something simple that we did this summer with our internship, we have an internship every summer, we called it Hometown Marshall County. So what she did short little video interviews with her iPhone. We posted them in our social platform. She interviewed local businesses, retails. Why did you stay in Marshall County? Why are you here? Why is it unique to you to be in this community? What kept you here? And if they were a business that has only been there for a couple of years and they were new to the area, why did you choose our community to do so? Questions like that, and it just got a lot of viewership and a lot of what we would consider shared on their platforms, etc. So we thought that was just an easy way to do it, and it didn't cost us anything. I think we bought a tripod, but we already, all of us have someone has a flip phone. But if you have an iPhone or a smartphone, my husband did at his old job, so that's another question, that's another day. But those are just some easy, simple ways to engage. Video, I know, I think digital marketers are encouraging more and more, but it can be expensive, but it can also be
Cheap.
You can
do
find
it on your
ways of
phone.
it being cheap, and that is just some ways we have marketed more on a shoestring, I guess, in our area. And this doesn't have to be scary. Marketing can be a scary animal, and it is, especially if you're trying to meet specific goals. But you always work forward, work with your communities, find ways to make it work. And those are just some quick 5 list of ways that we have used that I hope we've already shared today, but I hope that helps.
Okay, so has anyone done a home renovation on their own? Decided not to hire anyone, just like, I'm gonna do this on my own. How fun was that? Not fun? No, yeah, she said it was fun. Well, you're gonna ruin my speech. No,
I'll remain silent.
Okay. So, my husband and I in February were just like sitting there. It's a cold, snowy day. You know, we got nothing going on other than 3 little kids in our house. But we're like, you know what? We're gonna renovate that bathroom. Let's do it today. So he goes up and starts ripping out everything. And then I'm sitting there thinking, well, I don't have anything picked out. And how are we gonna really do this? And we didn't plan this right. So about 3 months later, I was about ready to buy a ticket to the funny farm because the bathroom was still not finished. And this simple bathroom renovation took about him watching probably 10 hours of YouTube videos on how to do plumbing, and took me about 200 trips to Home Depot. So if you've ever been involved in something like that, you know how by the end of it, you're like, you know what? I should have just spent the money maybe and had someone else do this and not have been so stressed. So kind of with that in mind, I'm going to talk about the marketing on a shoestring, and there's the marketing on a dime, and there's marketing on $1. Kind of like doing a bathroom renovation. You can do it on your own time and it will cost you less, or you can hire someone and get it done. So the most inexpensive way is for you just to promote yourself, obviously. So I know we're beating the dead horse. We're saying social media, but it is the most cost-effective way to spread word about your Byway. So number 1, do you have a Facebook account for your Byway? When I was doing research before I came, it seems like there was the county DMOs, but there's not really like a specific Byway page. And I think it's to your benefit to get your own Byway page if you don't have one. The accounts are free. They take just a few minutes to set up. And you can have control showing the sights and sounds of your Byway. And it doesn't have to be a collection of your best photos and tips. You can take, like say if we're talking about the Amish Country Byway in Ohio, they could feature a restaurant that's really popular with locals. They could share their content. They could share content from the museum's page. It's not like they have to be coming up with everything. They can just curate with everyone else's content. And then this is also a way to connect with those who have been before and plan to come back. I think that we forget how many repeat travelers we might have to our Byway. So if they've been once and then they like, oh, I like this page, you know, because like now I experienced this. I didn't even know the Lincoln Highway was there. And so now they're following you, and then maybe they see a restaurant come up one day and they're like, oh my gosh, I want to go back to the Lincoln Highway. That was such a great day trip, and here's a restaurant that I can go visit this time. And then number 2, do you have an Instagram account for your Byway? Have you heard that 40% of those under 33 years old are choosing a travel destination based only upon its Instagrammability, which wasn't even a word, I don't think, until a couple years ago. So how can travelers connect with your Byway if they can't find you? Do you have a mural or a countryside that you could share, a notable statue, a silly statue? 10 years ago, not many people were traveling based on just one photo. But now Instagram has kind of changed that. I mean, I know for myself, if I see someone post a beautiful mural or just, they're like walking through a field of lavender, I'm like, I want to go there. That looks so neat. So the language of Instagram is hashtags. So what if you created a hashtag for your Byway and then we're able to reshare other people's content using that hashtag? So as an example, this summer, the kids and I, we were in Fort Wayne at the Firefighter Museum, and I could have taken a picture of them standing out front with their like $5 fire truck I bought, hey, we're here in Fort Wayne, and I could have hashtagged Indiana Lincoln Highway or something similar, Lincoln Highway of Indiana. And then say that Byway could have asked for my permission, which is always a good idea, especially when there's kids in photos. And then they could have reshared it on their account. So that's kind of a way to engage with your followers, promote your Byway, and then you're not having to come up with all the content yourself either, because I know we're all busy and we don't have time to just drive our Byways and take photos. So user-generated content is the #1 way that travelers are gaining inspiration. And I talked to a friend that was in here earlier. She has kids that are in their 20s. They went to the Outer Banks. They came up with all the restaurants they wanted to visit based on pictures of food on Instagram. So, I mean, It seems silly, but like the younger generation, that's what they're looking for. And I feel like we need to promote that with the younger families to get out and explore these byways so they're not like a dying thing. So that's kind of what you can do on your own. That's your marketing on a dime. That's your inexpensive stuff. But it's going to take a lot of your time, right? Time is money. Just like with that bathroom renovation. We could have hired a plumber and saved her a lot of headaches. So my suggestion would be to hire someone. Truth be told, it's not really expensive to hire a travel blogger or a travel writer or a freelance writer to come out and cover your destination. Travel bloggers can bring value to your destination because they're already in that area. They're already marketing to people that want to travel, that either have, like for me, that have families, that want to get out and explore, that want to do things. So you don't have to build the audience. We already have the audience. So some ways that you could find someone to work with, you could go to a social media outlet, say like Pinterest. You're on Pinterest looking for home renovation ideas. But you could go on Pinterest and type in, Indiana travel ideas. And you're probably going to see some pins that are by popular Indiana bloggers. I know if you type in Ohio, you'll probably see some of mine if you type Ohio with kids. And so you could go in and just kind of investigate the blogger further, read their content, see if you maybe would like it, if it would be a good fit. You could call your DMO and your CBB if they've worked with a blogger before. They might have some ideas, or even like a couple counties over. I mean, I've worked with different counties in Ohio, and so maybe one doesn't know like any bloggers, but a couple counties over might. You can also go, if you're in the Midwest, there's the Midwest Travel Network, so you can go to their website, MidwestTravelNetwork.com, and then if you click on Work With Us, you can find travel writers, and you can go by state in the Midwest, and you'll find writers everywhere. Connie and Frank are in that group. So I would just say go to the blogs and figure out, if it's going to fit with your product, what you're trying to sell. Are you marketing to family travelers? Are you marketing to empty nesters? Who is your ideal client? And then have an idea of what you want them to write about. Do you want them to talk about 10 awesome stops along this byway? Do you want them to talk about staycation ideas? Things that are popular right now are just maybe one local attraction. Maybe there's really one museum that really needs, sorry, the spider on my hair, needs a following. So usually if you email a travel writer, they'll return with something like, yeah, that's great. My contract would be, I'd like to be paid this amount, and with that I'll do, say, a 700-word post, and a Facebook post, and 2 Twitter posts, and Pinterest pin, and it's kind of like your contract. Like, this is what I'm going to give you. Here are my actionable items. based on what you're willing to pay. And I mean, I think things are negotiable too. You might go back and forth, but it's really not as expensive as you might think to host someone. And you can also maybe see if the travel writer is going to need to stay the night. Maybe your Byway is one of those longer ones that requires a couple evenings. And so you can maybe call a local hotel or a bed and breakfast and see if they would be willing to host the blogger. And they're going to probably get a lot of, they're going to get some, promotion from that too. They're going to get their name probably mentioned on social media. So it's a benefit for them as well. So travel bloggers have it in their best interest to produce evergreen content that's going to be shared for years to come. Like, we just don't want oh, here's the Byway, click once, done. We're going to be resharing it on social media. We're going to be using right keywords within the blog post so that Google finds it, so that anybody who's looking for things to do, maybe in Indiana, is going to try to find that Byway post. So we want to tell your story in a way that's relevant for our audience, but also for yours, so that we can get those visitors to our website. And then I was just going to give an example, and I'm sorry if you were in the Ohio room last night and you heard this. So the Amish Country Byway had me come out to promote the Millersburg Glass Museum. And it was just I just did a short Facebook blurb on this is why locals would want to visit this museum, because I felt like a lot of locals hadn't heard of this because my family's from that town and they didn't really know about it. And then I said, here's why visitors would find this interesting. And within a week, it had 131 shares. It saw over 4,000 people saw it, which is a lot for Facebook, especially as they're not letting businesses, they're not showing things as much to people. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah.
And so, Millersburg only has 3,000 people. So the post went to over 4,000 people. So I feel like that was just a nice promotion for a small town, and they were really happy with it. So that's something that, that's the power of social media. That's the power of bringing a travel blogger out who already has people that are interested in traveling. And then there's another idea too, is that if you don't want to give a travel writer complete control, you are able to allow sponsored content on their site. So if you just want to promote your Blueberry Festival and you're I don't really know, I don't know if I want Leah to talk about it too much, you could just give me a press release, or maybe I can't get out to Indiana by next week to see this. She could just give me a press release and say hey, would you put this on your site? Would you promote it on social media? Would you promote it on Instagram? I'm yeah, that's great. And so she's basically getting control over what's posted, but is still getting promotion. So that's another idea too, that you could think about with your minimal budgets that you have. So most bloggers will just want to know what you expect of them and what you really want out of their posting. But I think it is a way to market your Byway, and it's not as expensive as people think, and it's personable because people are following that blogger or writer for a reason, and so it resonates with their clients and with the people that you want coming to see your Byway.
As I mentioned before, I'm Noelle and I'm with the State Tourism Office, and without trying to reiterate a lot of what Sheila mentioned on Wednesday, I do want to just throw out a few items that kind of piggyback off some of the things that she went over in regards to utilizing your assets in your community and your partners, whether they're the ones along your Byway or your statewide partners that might be available that you aren't really considering, thinking, well, it's just a roadway. In some cases, it might be the Department of Transportation if they're really your ally and that's who you're working with. In Indiana, it might be more of a tourism group like us at the State Tourism Office. But whoever is got an interest and is seeing a benefit to your Byway and the work that you're doing to promote it, work with them, glom onto those people, and find ways to partner with them where you're sharing information, where you're sharing cost potentially in some cases, any way that you can sort of buy down that expense. From my perspective, obviously for us, the easiest thing to say is to consider your state tourism office a tool. We are available and have a lot of assets that can be utilized in different ways. Obviously, I didn't bring it in here with me. I have them upstairs or in my car. We do a state travel guide. Most states do one some states do 5 because their states are so big. They have a northern one and a southern one and a central one or whatever. But we do 1 in Indiana, and it's an annual piece. It's glossy, it's pretty, but you have to pay to participate in it. We don't give away free advertising. Now we do trades with folks from time to time, but generally it's a pay to play opportunity, and that's much like very much an advertising, just a paid advertising opportunity. But the thing that we do offer with it is we have a lot of digital opportunities that go along with that you get in addition to buying an advertisement in the magazine. And when you look at the grand scheme and you're making your marketing plan, like Cori mentioned, you can go, well, I could pay this much, but it's going to get me all of this. And that's the same thing with our website and our newsletters. You can pay to be at the top of the line, but you can also do a lot of things absolutely free. We take blog content from communities, so if you produce something, we will use it. Especially if you have a blogger come in and you have them do something if you don't share what they're producing, you're wasting your money and your time. So if you share it yourselves and then you also send it to the state, or you send it to your local DMO and say, hey, guess what? We had these folks come in. They wrote this great article about us, but we want you to, can you put it up and share it? Absolutely. We're always looking for new things to do that don't require our social media person to sit there and write another blog. So we definitely, especially if it's got any kind of tourism, obviously related content, it's great. And also be sure to make something or create something that is going to be evergreen, like she mentioned, stuff that we can post today and we can post a year from now, and it's still going to be good. Because we do recycle things a lot. If you have an annual festival along your byway that happens every year, just make sure we remind people, hey, that blog I sent you last year, that thing's coming up again in a month. Can you make sure that you're talking about it? We do free listings on our website as well. I can't speak to every state's tourism office, but we have a really simple form. You go in, you fill it out, but somebody has to do the work. Our small but mighty group of 6 at our state tourism office doesn't, unfortunately, have the time to go out and visit there's 1,000 festivals in Indiana. We don't have time to get to everyone. But if people are going into our website and submitting that their event's coming up, and it's done more than a month in advance, generally we do a festivals and events newsletter every week that goes out to people that subscribe. It's free. But people that are looking for things to do, whether they live in the state or they're out of state, they can get that newsletter. But we don't talk about things that we don't know are happening. We don't go through the festival guide and go, oh wait, guess what's coming up next week? We look on our website and see who's posted and who's taken the time to post their events, or who is also buying advertising content with us, and that's who ends up in that newsletter. We can't put everybody in there. There might be 10 festivals in October, or 20 for that matter, and about 5 of them get placement in this newsletter on a monthly basis. But it's still just another easy opportunity. Share things. Share your special events. Share your photos. Tell us about, if you get a newspaper article written, even if it's in your local paper, if it's good writing and it's something that you're allowed to reshare and repost, we want to talk about it. If you win an award for something, or you get a grant, I mean, all of those things reflect positively on the tourism industry or on what you're doing and draw attention. So, and you didn't have to write it, so that's the other good part. The 2 other things I wanted to say, you mentioned about hashtags, and I thought about it after the fact, so I didn't say this to the last group, but tag your state tourism office and tag your CVB.
Yep, please.
Every time you write something on your, if you do have social media, if you do have Instagram or Facebook or whatever, tag those folks every time you post something. In our case, it's hashtag H2G, honest to goodness. That's all you got to do. You can do H2G Indiana, you can do H2G wherever you are, Jeffersonville or your byway name. I mean, if you want to create your own, but that H2G part allows our social media manager to find that and to know that you're talking about us. So you're talking about us, and we're going to talk about you. The other thing is we do educational opportunities, and from an industry standpoint, you guys are here today obviously because you want to engage and get to know and learn. we do educational webinars about once every 6 to 8 weeks. And if it's not you, maybe it's a member of your board and you say, hey, they're doing this webinar, I don't have time at 11 o'clock on a Thursday to do this because I have another job. You're retired, can you listen in? Because I think this would be a good opportunity for us to learn something. And the more you engage with those folks, you're building those partnerships and you're building those relationships like what Sheila talked about on Wednesday. The folks at that little 6-person office start to take notice that these people are engaging. They're coming to our things. They're taking advantage of what we're providing. The other thing that we do is we also spend money out of our state budget to allow smaller organizations like yourselves to have that opportunity to promote yourself. So whether it's participating in a booth, like at a big travel show, at the Boat Sport and Travel Show, at the state fair, or wherever it is that maybe you have a lot of outdoor recreation opportunities along your byway. So being at the Boat Sport and Travel Show for people who are out there looking for places to go fish, or people that are looking for places to go camp, that's a niche market for you because you're in an area, in our case, southern Indiana or whatever, where the Byway runs through. That might be a really good opportunity to say, hey, yeah, we got all kinds of stuff you can do along the Ohio River Scenic Byway where you can hunt, fish, and camp, and you're right there on the river, and it's beautiful, you know. So, and people don't think, they think first, where am I going to go camp? They don't think how I'm going to get there. But you're telling them how they're going to get there, and you just kind of change the narrative for them. But those are free. We do that. All you got to do, you got to tank of gas, you got to get to the state fairgrounds, you got to set up your little table and talk and spend a couple of hours. But we don't ask people to pay for those. You just have to come. Doing that, and I know that, but sometimes I know it's easier to say, man, this is a lot, this is hard. So it's either find some more volunteers, find some more people that are as passionate as you, find their strengths. So maybe they're a really good writer, maybe they have this passion for photography and they think they're awesome at it. They might not be great, but maybe they're good enough and they're willing and they have the time to get out there and take some pictures for you to drive your byway and take those photos that you don't have time to go do. And engage them in what you're trying to share. That's a great way to just get some more people engaged. And the last thing I wanted to say is, if your state tourism office or your DMO in your area is going to be doing something like entertaining a blogger, take advantage of that. If they call you up and say, hey, we're going to have somebody come into town, we're going to encourage them to drive the byway, and they're going to visit these restaurants, can you help me get the restaurants on board because we want them to, comp their meal, or we wanted to provide you with a like an overnight hotel stay. Participate in those. You would not believe the amount of communities that we call on from time to time when we have a writer that wants to come in and we're trying to give them something different to talk about. We don't want to go back to the well or back to the same communities all the time. And they say, yeah, we don't have time, or I can't do that. And all you're asking them to do is get you a hotel room, or get you, and they get that opportunity to have that one-on-one time, even if it's only for a half an hour with that writer or that travel blogger. So if you get asked, and do what you can, try really hard to participate. It does take a little time. It might take a couple of phone calls, might take some begging, I don't know. But participate. And then the last thing, and I'm gonna let you jump, we'll segue to you, is take advantage of co-op opportunities. I think that's another way where you're not spending as much money. And it might be a co-op amongst all the byways in your state. To buy some advertising with the, with say the tourism office, or it might be a co-op where you're just participating with your CVB or somebody that's we're gonna buy an ad in American Road, who wants to jump on board and participate, because Cori might put in half, and then the other 5 byways put in their 1/5 of that half. So that's a lot cheaper than buying a full advertisement. So just think about the bigger picture, and think about, be creative in how you can get sort of beyond your county borders, or beyond your one road, to promote yourself, because it might give you a lot larger, a little more bang for your buck if you only got a buck to spend.
Yeah.
My name's Terry Jenkins. Like I said, in American Road Magazine too, I'm representing wanted to speak to you briefly about how to save money on all mediums. The first one's magazines. And the best way to save money on magazines is do a cooperative effort like she was talking about. You'll save yourself 20 to 30%. And you're going to take a page, and maybe a page is $5,000. But a fourth of a page, if you buy the open-end rate, maybe $2,000. And so if you guys go in together, because this is linear average, magazines are very category specific. This magazine in particular is it deals with byways and travel. And so you want to make sure if, thank you so much. And so the way to save money in magazines really is do a cooperative effort. There's a sheet that I passed around if you want to save some money, and that is we've got a program at American Road that if you sell the ads, and say you put together 2 or 3 destinations and 2 or 3 hotels or whatever, if you just sell the ad and make the ad up, then we'll go ahead and collect the money. Then American Road is very unique. American Road will send you a check for your association or your destination or your CDB, 10%. And so that's a program that they have. With magazines, you want to make sure that there's some kind of response level. And with American Road and with most magazines, there's a thing called a BRC card, and you can see it if you got the magazine. But here it is. You see your ad in the magazine, or somebody sees, the reader sees the ad in the magazine. Oh, I want to know more about Richmond, Indiana. They will circle the number, and most magazines, whether it be Country Road or Country Living or American Road, they will see the ad, they'll circle the number, and this is called a BRC card. They'll circle the number, and then they'll put their name, I want to know more information. Circle the number, they'll put the name, the address, the email, and their phone number, and then they tear it out, and there's a self-addressed envelope, and then they send it in. That's a way for you to know, hey, I spent $500 on this advertisement. What kind of response level did I get off that? How many people said they saw my ad and they want to know more information about my ad? With American Road and with most magazines nowadays, they have a digital component that goes along with the print. With American Road, it's 50% off any kind of digital component that we have, and we have quite a few. And when this is over with, I'm going to leave some things up here on the price on the digital component. But you get 50% off when you're doing the print ad. The thing to watch for digital advertising, a lot of CDBs are doing digital campaigns only nowadays. You need a third-party verification. You need to say, if they're saying 600,000 online users, you need to make sure that there are 600,000 online users. And the way to do that is third-party verification. With radio, there's Arbitron. With television, there's Nielsen. With digital, there's clickmeter.com, or the other one that's free is called Google Analytical that you can download. So if you're running a digital campaign, you need to make sure that those numbers are where those numbers need to be. On radio and on television, radio, they all have unsold inventory. Inventory that their salespeople were not able to sell for one reason or another. And so you can get that at half price, sometimes 90% off. And so what you want to do is call that radio station up and say, do you have any unsold inventory? My budget is so small, but I'd like to do a promotion with you. We've got a hotel in our area that will give you 3 days, 2 nights. Maybe we can pair together and do a promotion, and I can also put in your historical museum, which, by the way, they've got a wonderful, yesterday I went to it, it's a wonderful historical museum here in Richmond. And so we can do that, and then get some kind of promotion together with them. On television, television has unsold inventory. There are several companies out there called Per Inquiry, and the way that works is that they go to a television station and say, do you have any spots available? And but you have to have money. The thing with TV is it's very effective. More eyeballs watch TV than anything. But you got to have the money. You got to have the money for production. Production is going to run you $5,000 1,000, 5,000 to 10,000. What?
How fancy you want it to be.
How fancy you want it to be.
How long do you want to
And how long? Yeah, mainly it's 30 seconds. And so everybody's got a 800 number if you go to a Per Inquiry TV like what I represent, MMSI. Everyone's going to have an 800 number because you're going to choose. These are my feeder markets. I want to be in Cincinnati. I want to be in Dayton. I want to be in Indianapolis. Well, to get on television, if you bought it off the rate card for TV, it's going to cost you $2,000 to $4,000. The way this works is that they only pay. They got unsold inventory, and they're only paying for when you pick up the telephone and say, I saw the TV commercial. I want to know more information about Richmond, Indiana. And so they'll get the name, address, and phone number. And then every day they'll go ahead and send that to you. You need to have a budget of around $30,000 to $40,000 for it to be effective. So this is not really on a shoestring, but I did want to tell you about how Per Inquiry works on television. Radio, it's the same thing. Radio, I would talk to the radio stations in person and find out if they've got what they call unsold inventory, and then kind of offer them something.
Well, and the Indiana Broadcasters Association here in Indiana, and I don't know what it's like in other states, works with not-for-profits as well.
Oh, yes?
So they will do really, we did the torch relay here. All of our radio spots went through the Indiana Broadcasters Association. And if you're a not-for-profit, they work with so many a year and essentially do it for almost free. If you buy it, it's really, really, really cost effective, and it goes out all over the state. So if for those of you that have byways that go 17 counties or 5, that's another way. And you really, I mean, you need a person that has a good speaking voice. Hopefully there's somebody in your county or your community that would do a voiceover for cheap or nothing. But we got Karen Pence, she did it for
That was nice.
but you know.
And not
So-
all of us can pay for
No,
it.
you can't. You can't.
But
You
yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
Not everybody can. But if you have a limited amount of budget, that's another good place. Your
Yeah.
public broadcasting
Yep.
locations are generally pretty inexpensive and are willing sometimes to work with most of you, which are 501c3s and not-for-profits.
And again, you discount what
Terry.
happens, which is
Yep.
exceptional. What happens, local radio stations, like even in North Dakota, buy $1, get $1.
Yep.
So if you buy a $500 ad, you get a $1,000 ad.
Worth of it.
And they know
yeah.
you locally, no discredit to the other sources of
Also-
media, but there's places for both.
Yes, oh,
And
absolutely.
I don't know how you do, sir, but I know what we do is we always have an ad ready for print media, whatever it might be, because at the end of the week or the month, he's got a deadline to fill
Yeah.
that book.
Called Fireside sale.
And sometimes you get that fire sale the last day, but you gotta be ready to turn that ad in as soon as you say yes.
And you
So
get
think
some
about
real good
that.
deals on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing with television. If you
Yeah.
have an ad, make sure it's something you can use a lot
Yeah.
on your social media platforms. If you're gonna spend money on TV or even on radio, make sure, or on a really good photography print ad, make sure it's something you can use all the time, because you wanna suck the life out of that thing as much as you can.
We did, you can sometimes get deals on television if you're trying to use a regional market. We did a campaign and we did a co-op. We did it. We got 3 30-second commercials out of it, included the production of it. But what we did was the investment we made, we also helped buy down any other local businesses related to tourism that we would call a bookend television ad. So they'd show our general tourism destination ad, and then they'd bookend it right after you'd listen to something else. But we invested that over like a 3-4 year period in our northern Indiana, southern Michigan area, because we were really trying to reach some of those more tank gas visitors. We didn't do that this year. Now we've done more of an Indianapolis, Fort Wayne area for Indiana, but it was actually not a bad campaign. It's not worth looking into. Sometimes they'll work with you on those things, depending how long you want your campaign to run. If you want it to be a year long, you're gonna have to invest, just like Terry said. If you're just looking for a summer quarterly thing, it may not be as expensive, but sometimes they're willing to work with a not-for-profit. Maybe we were just lucky, but it worked out pretty well. but we also wanted to also help our partners. So that's why we invested money.
Thank you.
So that's just,
And one of the things I thought of last time, most of you, because you have these byways that run through multiple areas, have universities in your, somewhere near, close to your byway. They are a great resource for assistance with photography, with video, with social media. Sometimes there's a professor looking for a project for students that's beyond. The State Tourism Office does an annual program with Ball State University here in Indiana. We do spend money with them because they have expenses for travel or for equipment, things like that. But in other cases, there might be a smaller university, a campus, that's really just looking, they want to get some really good experience for their students or for a class. And it might be a way, sometimes you gotta go pitch them your idea because they want it to be a good working experience for their students. They wanna make sure they're gonna work with a good organization. But that's another really good low budget when you got 3 people or 1 person or you're a 1-person show. And you might intrigue that one kid who really is intrigued in tourism or with the byway idea or with transportation, whatever, history, that wants to jump on and be your storyteller. And they may then, you've just cultivated a volunteer, essentially. So their semester ends and the project is over, but then you've now cultivated somebody who might want to stick around or just help out an hour a week or whatever the case is. So don't forget about those kids, because especially if you feel like your organization is aging a little bit and you need some younger juice to reach a different audience, it's just another good way to find some bodies, and you don't have to necessarily have like an internship program to be able to do that.
The local, if your byway is anywhere near a university, that's a great people to approach to join your board in general. Like one of the ones near me, River of Lakes Heritage Corridor, Stetson University saw the brochure and said, "What's this?" And now they've joined, and we've done some joint projects with them already.
Doesn't USI work with you guys in Southern Indiana too on the byway program? Yeah. So
yeah, they're great to have involved for
so
multiple reasons.
I know that, and they don't even have to have a tourism program. It might be more history related or something.
And ours is the
that-
environmental science
Yeah.
department
Oh,
that
see,
we're
there you
connecting
go.
to with the
So-
William Bartram's
Yeah.
botanical history. So
but it helps everybody out.
yes.
Because they need to finish some potential credit. You're
Yeah.
looking for, that's a great idea.
We were all students once.
Sam,
We
have
were.
any questions?
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
you mentioned travel shows. How far should you go out from your site?
I think I think if you're trying to do it inexpensively, I would work with the visitors bureaus or your state tourism office to understand what your market is. I mean, it really, like for Indiana, a lot of what we're looking for the people that have to come and spend a night at least once. So that's more than your 1 tank of gas traveler. These are your people that are gonna at least come more than 50 miles, maybe more than 150 miles, that wanna come in and do a day long and stay the night. So our target market a lot is at least the contiguous states. If we're gonna go to a show, but a lot of what we do to help out our other groups is we go to the bigger shows like the American Bus Association conference. We send a group to that every year, and they bring in tour bus groups. But we don't expect every community in the state to be able to go to that. We have people, partners, and we co-op on that as well. But that could be anywhere in the country. That's a national show that goes all over the place. And some of the ones that I think they mentioned on Wednesday also are national shows that fluctuate around. So they aren't really focused on the markets around. Now, if you're going to a AAA show or something that's within a driving distance for you, I would say you're looking probably within those contiguous states around you for your target group. One of the other things we talked about last night in our Indiana group was, do we want to look beyond is it really just the day traveler, and we should be focusing our byway marketing just within our own state? Because maybe that's a better target market than trying to get those out of state people. Might be flying in, they might be driving in. But the people that we want to use the Byway might be more about the state travelers that are going from Indianapolis to South Bend, and we don't want them to, we want them to take the Byway rather than take an interstate. So you really got to identify what your marketing plan is and who your target market is, and then you can kind of see where your outreach should be and how far.
Yeah, and if you want it to be a group show or a leisure show.
Yeah,
or
exactly. there's a lot of parameters.
So then, so are you, like Motor Coach was American Bus Association.
Yep.
There are smaller,
Yep.
Heartland Travel Showcase, but that's marketing just to a Motor Coach group. That's a bus of 55. Or are you gonna go to a show, spend a few days with a bunch of other
Just a
similar
travel
byways,
market.
and just talk about your destination, give something away? So it's kind of hard to figure out what you want to do, but Noelle, you're right on point with that. You got to find what's best for your byway or what the visitor you're trying to reach.
Yeah.
There's a huge untapped market usually. I know in Florida, I've worked with several byways. It's incredible the level of beautiful location that is the ignorance about it.
Oh.
30 minutes from your house, there's a
within your own
spring.
state.
Yeah, that you start proposing to people in the county, and they have no clue what's within 1 hour radius of their own house. And I mean, I've been in meetings and where people are writing things down, going, "I'm going to take my kids these places,"
Yeah.
It's like, but they just
There's
haven't
the
been
internal
promoted.
market
They just
right
haven't been
too.
promoted. So there's a huge. I think most byways have a huge untapped market of people that just don't understand what is nearby.
Do FAM tours for your local frontline workers, familiarization tours. Get them on your Byway, get them on your special, if you got the trail of different events. Likewise, anywhere else, there's so many times that we had 2 log cabins in our 63-mile Byway in North Dakota, and I would bet 80% of the people in the communities didn't know they were on the route.
Oh, and another great partnership group in Indiana, for you Indiana Byways in the room, that you may not think about is we have what's called the Indiana Foodways Alliance here, and they are a group that focuses on local restaurants primarily, but that do local production that don't non-chain. There's all these stipulations and parameters they have to be part of the foodways. And then you get essentially put on, or you can make up your own trail. So we have, like you were talking about, we have food trails all over Indiana. We have a pie trail, we have a tenderloin trail, we got all kinds. But those are great ones to pair up with your byway. So looking at the trail, see what the restaurants are, and then you find out that you got 5 of the tenderloin restaurants within a 20-minute drive off your byway. You can work with foodways as they promote that byway, or as they promote their trail, and vice versa. And there may be other states that have that same sort of group like that organizes their.
I don't know if food it would be great. Florida. I'm from Florida, and Visit Florida is huge.
It is
obviously
huge.
we're
They're
number
one
one
of the
tour
states that has
destination on earth.
tourism like magazines, because they have Northern Florida and Central Florida.
Yeah. Visit
Disney
Florida is
World
huge,
is its own.
and they're reorganizing. They're reorganizing right now. I've gone to a few meetings to Visit Florida because Florida Scenic Highways program is listed on Visit Florida and partnering with them. But food is just working with byways. People are all about food, especially if it's a rural destination. It's real helpful to know that there's some cool little place to eat coming up.
Yeah.
And you're,
I think she had that question.
It's a comment. We took on my little historic town to the PA bus show. Everybody's negotiable. We're a 501. It's a 501c3, and I said we can't pay the $800. And she said, well, what can you pay? And I said, well, probably $400. She said, done. Our best inquiries, and
Sometimes you just gotta ask.
right.
yeah.
We booked 5 bus tours out of that. Our best inquiries were from about 3.5 hours around.
So a day trip in and out.
It's within.
Because
Yeah.
the folks on bus tours have gotten so old that they really don't want to stay overnight anymore.
They just wanna go and come back.
A
Go
day
see something
tour.
every time.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot in
We
Florida
get a lot of
too.
mystery tours.
Day tours.
So.
Especially for a lot of our byways, there's like a jungle or something, and it helps to have, it's like an expedition out to these beautiful wild areas.
And Noelle, just to say, if you can connect your byway to an already existing trail of some kind and repurpose that content.
That is
awesome.
huge. That's
Bringing up
huge
the
for us.
Byways is huge.
We have a-
They're growing.
And they're huge. We just became a member.
Oh, good.
So, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, I think all byways should support trails,
Yeah,
because
so
trails
if
are
there's
great.
any type of trail, we do a barn quilt trail, we have this trail, that trail, this trail, we even have a barn quilt with Lincoln Highway on a barn, it has Lincoln Highway sign, we got permission.
And then the actual biking trails.
And then your biking trails, I mean, if there's a way to connect in some way, it is just, I think sometimes we're thinking too hard about stuff, and those are just some easy ways to do it, yeah. I overthink everything, so, but. some of it
Creativity
is
is key.
Yeah, and creativity and new. And that's what's fun. So you mentioned Blueberry Festival. That's a great festival. It's one of my biggest festivals in the county. 500,000 people for our small little community. But the thing about Blueberry, it's awesome, and I'm not at all saying anything negative, but it's about the same thing every year. So what happens is there's not really new things happening or a new exhibit but people love it, they still come. But when we as a DMO are like, this is what's new at the Blueberry, they may not have anything. So Noelle, you're right, creativity, new things.
That's a pretty big festival.
It's a huge festival.
Yeah,
It's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, people
yeah,
love it.
sometimes when it's a huge festival, it's a huge festival. It's gonna be good no
Well,
matter what.
It was funny, our local paper did, you either love this event or you hate this event. And for a local, especially because it's in a local park, it takes over our town for about a week. And it's only 4 days. So you either love it or you hate it because it changes our way of life for a little bit in Little Marshall County, Indiana. But new content, new creative things to draw a new demographic and a new audience is always key.
I think a lot of what's important about what you all are saying is if people are under 30, they're not going to see you on Facebook and Twitter, which a lot of people don't realize that. But Instagram's becoming so important.
And even I know Snapchat, I don't use it that much anymore, but we made a Snapchat filter for our festival because so many young kids are, I mean.
I know that's not
Yeah.
the existing demographic for a lot of
No.
byways, but do we want to reach them? Yes,
Yeah,
because
maybe
they want to
potentially.
they want to see the
Yeah.
same
And
experiences.
they like sharing themselves, so.
Yeah.
And they're shiny and pretty and,
And they're pretty,
cute.
yeah, so that's
So-
they're shiny. Yes.
Yeah. A Snapchat filter for a byway is a good idea.
That would be cool.
Kids riding in the car in the back seat going, oh, this is so boring. Could
But if you can
Snapchat themselves while they're in the car with the window behind.
Yeah.
I'm on the left.
Actually, you know, I don't like that because I took my teenage cousin. Well, she just turned 15. She was on crutches in a bikini at Blue Spring, this gorgeous spring. We had to stop every few minutes so I could take a picture for her to keep her stream going
Yeah.
of her chat. I'm like, could you just be here for 1 second?
And there is a disadvantage because then maybe we're too to our phones and we're not.
You would have thought she was Jennifer Lopez the way she was. I mean, it was every 15 minutes there had to be a shot to her fans at home.
That's the medium and balance. We all have to
There needs to be some
that's probably
balance.
her age.
I guess we have to go to another session.